Good afternoon, Joyce Chiracalis. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
We're starting with you in our discussions of the original Greek families here in Annapolis. Can you tell us about how your family, the Chiracalis family, worked together in your parents' restaurant on Maryland Avenue, the G&J restaurant?
In simple terms, we had a restaurant on Maryland Avenue, and my sister and I started working there when we were about 8 or 9 years old. Waiting on tables, but not taking orders, just drinks like Coca-Cola for the midshipmen and that sort of thing. And then we just, as we got older, we took on more responsibility.
Yeah.
That's all.
So you told me your dad was working would be in the kitchen, and
He
he
was
fine.
always in the kitchen. Once in a while he came out, he'd pick up his apron, tuck it in so people wouldn't see all the stuff that was on it. And the customers wanted to see him and talk to him. And so he would come out periodically and talk to them. And they would ask about us. And my dad loved to brag about his girls.
And both you and Anna were there, and
Billy came along later, my brother. He came along later. So.
Now tell me a little bit about. We talked about working in the restaurant, and one of the things struck me was when the midshipmen were ready to graduate. Tell us that story when the midshipmen came.
Oh, yeah, it makes me cry. I hope I get through it. At the end of the academic year, the midshipmen would come in for their last day to have something to eat and to say goodbye to us, mainly to say goodbye to my dad. So after they had their lunch or whatever, they would line up and they would head for the kitchen. And my dad had a swinging door at the kitchen door there. So he would see them coming towards him, so he came out of the kitchen and through the swinging door. And each midshipman wanted to shake his hand and thank him for the 4 years that he had taken care of them.
Yeah,
in place of their own parents. Who,
yes, it was very moving. The Greeks at one time owned 90% of the restaurants and the candy stores in Annapolis, and many of them, like Fred's Restaurant and the Royal and Jim's Corner, they would come there and they became very attached to the Alexopoulos and Bristow
they
families.
had their regular customers,
Yeah.
Each of the restaurants, I think.
Now tell me a little bit about Steve and Constantine Fondas, who sponsored you all to come from Greece. Your great-uncle Steve?
My great-uncles? Well, they were in this country, and I think they brought my dad over.
Okay.
I think that's how it happened, yeah. Just hometown.
Okay.
And
they brought your dad over.
They brought my dad over, and they put him to work
in the restaurant. And one of the things I wanted to mention about Steve Fondas was that he donated $50,000 to the church, which in today's money is worth $500,000.
And he named it in honor of his brother
Constantine, who died
away.
from tuberculosis, right? And he was in the house with you when you all were growing up.
Yeah, we all took care of him. We all lived in one house together.
And Stella Kachivas told me that the Helen, which I didn't know, is named after Steve's sister. Steve had a sister, Helen, and Stella said to me, make sure you tell him that. Tell us about when you were working at the Naval Academy and the King and Queen of Greece came there to visit. Somehow you got pulled into doing something?
Well, my office knew that I was Greek, so when they heard that the King and Queen were coming, they asked me if I would be willing to go to meet the King and Queen, shake hands, and hand them some flowers. I was a young kid there. I was pretty new at the Naval Academy at the time. So whatever they wanted me to do, I was ready to do it. So they gave me some flowers, and we went up to the chapel, I think it was, and that's where they took pictures. And when the King and Queen came, they climbed up a few steps, and I greeted them with flowers, a bunch of flowers, And it was very nice. I mean, I was impressed.
I mean, you were like 19 years old,
well,
right? And you-
easily, probably less than that.
And you said when the king got out of the car and the queen of
He was as tall. I looked at him and I thought, oh. He had his military uniform on. He had his medals from here to here. Unbelievable. I was young. I was impressionable. So, you know.
it was quite an experience. Yeah, we're still
Very.
looking for that. We're still looking for that the picture. Joyce, tell me, what are some of your
I don't
favorite?
think they took pictures. I think that because they couldn't find him.
Right.
So I think somebody forgot to do his job or something.
Yeah. We're going to get those pictures at some point. Joyce, tell me, where were you when the news of Pearl Harbor came over the radio, and how did you and your family react?
I think I'm trying to remember what time of day it was when we heard the news on the radio.
In the morning?
Pearl Harbor. Aren't you listening?
It was December the 7th.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
in the morning, I think you told me.
Yeah, and of course the word got around, you know, and
You were there during, what was it like during World War II when you were because you were what, in your young girl, right?
1941.
Right.
Was 10 years old.
Yeah. I think it said something to me when Anna heard it, she ran up the stairs and.
My sister was very emotional. So when we heard the news, we were still living with my uncle on
Oh,
Franklin
okay.
Street. When she heard the news on the radio, she took 2 steps at a time, running up to the bedroom, closed the door, and started woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah, it was a very emotional time with the.
Yeah.
Now, how about your friendship with some of the Greek boys that went to war? I know that Tony Pappas was one. I don't know whether. Can you tell
I
us
had a
about?
crush. Do you remember Tony Pappas? I had a crush on him. I never said anything. I was very quiet back then. I never said anything. But all of us, I think all of us, don't you remember having a crush on Tony?
No, he was too old for me.
I beg your pardon.
All right, we're gonna get to you even. We're gonna get to you even in a second. And so during that time, and I know a lot of the Greeks, and we're going to talk when it comes with Margie Christo about her husband and the others that served.
Yes.
So it was quite a difficult time.
It was a very difficult time. People were going to war. Some never came back. And we
Right.
were at the age that we were impressionable by then. We were 10, 11. So.
Can you tell us any particular favorite memory or a funny story that from growing up in the Greek community in Annapolis? I know you, like the other gals, were in the Sunday school teachers and the choir. I mean, you all came right up through the ranks. Is there any kind of any funny story you want us?
I don't know. Do you remember anything comical about all that? I don't think it was comical. I think we
We were
just,
very serious.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we were pushed into all of that, by our parents. We had to go to
That was
Sunday
the only
school.
thing we had.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
We had to go to Sunday school, and then we had to go to church.
Yeah, with the Greek school.
And and,
Okay. All right. Well,
and,
Joyce, I really thank you for your time, and
Oh,
we're
thank
looking
you.
forward to seeing you on the website. Thank you so
oh
very
my.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, by the way.
You too.